This hike began in Will Rogers State Park, with the trailhead being the start of the Backbone Trail in the Santa Monica Mountains. And here Dale and then Jack get started on up the trail. And here we can look over and see a hazy view of Santa Monica Bay. And we can also look down and see part of the trail that got us up here. And then a little bit farther up we can again look back and see Santa Monica Bay in the distance. And then we reach a point on the Backbone Trail where a pedestrian bridge crosses a particularly narrow part of the mountains. Now we were supposed to take a side trail going down into Rustic Canyon about a half a mile up from this bridge. But unfortunately the trail we saw we didn't think was the right one, so we went a half mile or so beyond. And then had to backtrack so we could get down into Rustic Canyon. And this trail turned out to be very narrow, very steep, and heavily eroded. But it did eventually get us down into Rustic Canyon. And then here in the canyon bottom we find the remains of an old barn, pretty well taken over by brush and trees. Rustic Canyon has a very pretty stream running down the middle of it. So we started downstream, following what wasn't really much of a trail. And then we run across the ruins of another structure, said to have been built by Will Rogers as a retreat. And then the rest of the trip back to the Will Rogers State Park was somewhat of an adventure, with sometimes a trail, sometimes really not any trail, and sometimes walking in the stream, and included climbing under and over fallen trees. And then we reached a trail that climbed back up out of the canyon to the Will Rogers Park and to our car, after a hike that ended up about 6 miles.